Welcome to Craft a Killer LinkedIn Profile, tips for millennial pros or wannabe pros. I'm Tamara Thorpe, the Millennials Mentor. You are in the right place if you're a recent college grad and maybe struggling to have your resume make the impact you want it to, or if you're already in a job where you've lost your passion and you want to expand and lengthen your career trajectory, or if you just want to know more about LinkedIn. After today's workshop, you're going to know how to use LinkedIn to showcase your personal identity, boost your career prospects, and use LinkedIn to network and find mentors. To start, you will need a LinkedIn account as a point of reference. If you don't have one, go to linkedin.com and create your account. I'll wait. Next, I want to tell you that LinkedIn is not Facebook. This is a different type of social network that is created to help you make connections, find resources, and build relationships so you can develop professionally. LinkedIn isn't just about short, quick snippets of information you're sharing globally with people like Twitter. And it's not just about connecting with people that you know and sharing and liking things like you do on Facebook. LinkedIn is about building professional relationships. So you may do that with people you already know, but you're also going to do that with people you don't know. You want to use LinkedIn as a tool to expand your professional network and make new relationships. So you are going to be using this social platform to interact and engage with people you know and people you don't know. And differently than the other social platforms, usually we're in and out and off and on Facebook and Twitter throughout the day. LinkedIn is something you want to make time for in order to make the most of it. So that I am on LinkedIn anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, at least twice a week, in order to utilize all the different features so that I can make connections, follow up on connections, and participate in all the different discussions and activities and sharing of stuff that happens on LinkedIn. So depending upon what your professional goals are, your career objectives are, that may drive how much time you spend on LinkedIn. But I'm going to recommend that you start with at least 20 minutes, at least twice a week. So, enough. Let's start with our first of the 4 easy steps you're going to need to craft a killer LinkedIn profile. Step number 1 is you want to have an all-star profile. You'll notice on the right-hand side of the screenshot here that LinkedIn has rated my profile an all-star profile. So when you go online and you start to create your account, LinkedIn is going to guide you through a process of how to build up your profile. And the more complete it is, the higher your rating. So you want to make sure that you have a really strong profile and that you use those prompts that LinkedIn gives you to build that strong profile. I'm going to give you some suggestions that are going to help you along the way with the prompts that LinkedIn provides. So first, you want to have a great picture. You want to make sure that this picture really allows you to put your best foot forward, that your face is visible, your eyes are visible, and people can get a great sense of who you are. Now, it doesn't have to be a professionally taken photo or a photo that's considered more traditional or professional, depending upon the field that you're in. So if you're in a field that's more creative, then your picture can be more creative. But remember, this is about selling yourself. So have a great picture. The second thing I want to point out to you on your profile page is about the title. So you see under your name, which remember, you want to have the same name here that you would have on your resume. You don't want to use a nickname or a pseudonym like you would on other social platforms. You want to use your complete proper name. Now under your name, LinkedIn identifies this as your position or title. But what you want to put here is either the job or career you are currently in or the one that you are pursuing. So if you are still a student, you don't want to identify yourself in your summary or in your job title here as a student. What you want to do is put in the position that you're looking for. The reason for this is potential employers or hiring managers and recruiters, they're going to be searching for people who have the title of the job they're looking for. So if that's the job you're looking for, you want it to match. Remember, LinkedIn is not an online resume. It is a networking platform. So it is designed for you to put lots of information here that's really going to highlight you in the career you're trying to move into or the field you're trying to move into. So the same rules don't necessarily apply as they do with your resume. You have a lot more flexibility on LinkedIn. So you can put as your position here the position that you're looking for, and this is going to make you searchable. One of the most important things when you're thinking about building your profile is that your profile is searchable. You're also going to see just below here, mine says view profile is. When you're first creating your LinkedIn account, this is going to say improve my profile. And you want to click on there because it's going to give you lots of tips and advice about how to continue to elevate your profile so that you can move to all-star status. Another small point I want to make here about this first aspect of your profile is just below the number of connections on the box here. You'll see a small tab that says contact information. And this is where you can put a phone number, your email address, your About Me page, your web page, your blog, any sort of connections or ways in which people can reach you and learn more about you, you can put there. So you want to start by having a great picture. You want your full proper name, and you want to make sure that the job position or title you put is searchable for the job or career you're aspiring to have. And make sure in that contact information that you're putting information that you want public and that people can use to access and contact you. And you'll see here, LinkedIn offers you lots of different ways in which you can build your profile. So it allows you to include volunteer opportunities, organizations you've got involved with, courses you've taken, patents you might have, publications, certifications. This really isn't just about transferring your resume from paper to a social platform. This is about you being able to highlight all the things that you've done, the experiences you've had that don't fit on your resume or tell a different story. Too often than not, resumes tell a really simple or single story about ourselves. And LinkedIn really offers you the opportunity to tell a more complete story of all of your experiences. So take advantage of these prompts so that you can really expand and build your profile. So just below your image and your title, you'll see that LinkedIn allows you to create a summary. It's important to know with your summary that here you want to write a first-person summary. You want to tell a story about you and your experiences. So do not use the third person. This isn't the place to refer to yourself in the third person. You want this to be personable. So use the first person and share something about yourself that gives people a little more insight into your character, your skill set, or your personality. And it also allows you here to share work. So if you have any kind of photos or samples of work that you've done, you can post it here in your summary. I have a few PowerPoint slides here for people to get a sense of different presentations that I've done. But depending upon the field you're in, you might share something different. But it does allow you to do that. You want to make sure that you're really highlighting your experience here on your profile. Next, below your profile is where you can start to list in the various jobs that you've had. Now, like I said, this isn't your resume, so you don't need to list every single job you've ever had in your life, but jobs that you want to post that really highlight your experience and give people a sense of what you've been doing recently, or at least the last 5 years. And so under each position that you put in, you want to provide a description. Mine here is a little long because I'm talking about my own business, but if you're talking about a job that you had in a more sort of traditional organization, it doesn't have to be this long. But what is most important here is underneath the experience, you see I have 8 recommendations. You want to be recommended. So when you first create your LinkedIn account, you want to start connecting with people you already know, and you want to ask those people, colleagues, former colleagues, employers, former employers, professors, you want to connect with them and ask them to write you a recommendation. You want a recommendation from anybody who's seen you in action and seen you do what you do really well. That could be a mentor, a friend, or a colleague. So you want to reach out once you've connected and ask people for recommendations. What I really like about LinkedIn's recommendation feature is it allows you to approve recommendations before they're posted. So when you ask for a recommendation and someone writes one, it'll come to you through your LinkedIn email, and you can review it and either accept it or not accept it. Now, the magic number for recommendations is 10. Having at least 10 recommendations will make you more searchable. So remember, an all-star profile is 3 things. It's professional, it's personable, and it's searchable. So when you're putting in your job position, writing your summary, or putting in the various your work history, make sure that you're including key terms that make you searchable. Another feature that's on your LinkedIn profile is identifying skills that you have, and it allows other people to endorse those skills. This is something that people ask me about all the time about LinkedIn is, do I want to be endorsed, and what do I want to be endorsed for, and should I endorse other people? And I think the question to all of those is yes. You want to be endorsed, you want people to endorse you, and it is really great etiquette to endorse other people. The one caveat I have is that you should really only endorse people who use skills you have firsthand knowledge of. So if you've connected with someone on Facebook or connected with somebody on LinkedIn and you don't know them and you haven't met them face to face or seen their work, you don't want to endorse them. You only want to endorse skills that you actually have knowledge of. Now, I am sure there are people who have endorsed my skills who don't necessarily know or haven't seen it firsthand, and that's okay. But for my own sort of sense of participating responsibly in networking in a professional way, I only endorse other skills who I have a firsthand knowledge of. And so you can go ahead in this skills section and identify as many skills as you want, and other people might add other skills that you have. But what's key is you want those top skills to really reflect the skills where you're trying to gain some ground in. So I'm a leadership expert, and so it makes sense that my top skill that I've been endorsed for is leadership. And while we all certainly have an array of talents, you really want to make sure that those skills you want to be recognized for are the ones that are getting endorsed. And lastly, one of the other really powerful features on LinkedIn that allows you to have a really great profile is following. And you can follow what LinkedIn calls influencers. And those are people who are really high profile. You'll see like Richard Branson, Arianna Huffington. These are individuals who already have a very visible and high profile within their fields. And so LinkedIn has given them the status of influencer. And they post great articles, their own work, their own writings, and share great stuff. So you can follow them. And on your home page, you'll see their postings. You can also follow news. You can follow companies. And you can follow schools. So if there's a company where you're hoping to get hired one day, then you should find them on LinkedIn and become a follower. And this will allow you to start getting information from their network. So you have to think about LinkedIn in the same way in which you think about face-to-face networking. If there's somewhere you want to work, you want to shake hands with somebody in that organization. And in order to do that, you have to put yourself in the right place. And so by following the right people and building those networks through your profile, you'll start to be fed information about, people within those networks that you want to get into. So remember, when you're creating your all-star profile, you want it to be professional, personable, and searchable. Now let's move on to step number 2, and that is using LinkedIn to connect and network. So you'll see here on this first page, if you go and look at someone's profile, you'll see just below their name, their title, and a little bit of their history, this connect button. You want to click on that connect button because that's how you're going to make relationships and network. So when you're just getting started on LinkedIn, start searching people you know and click that connect button. Now, differently from other platforms, when you make that initial contact with someone, you want to make sure that you're following up, and I'm going to show you how to do that. But there's other ways in which LinkedIn helps you make connections, and I want to show those to you. You'll see here, this is my home page. So if you look at the LinkedIn navigation bar, you'll see there's home and profile. So for step 1, building our all-star profile, we were looking at my profile. Now we're looking at my home page. And you'll see here, my home page allows me to share an update. So I can post a link to my blog. I can post an article I found. I can share a thought for the day. I can share a quote for the day. So just like you do on other social networks, you want to post here, but you want to remember here that you're putting forth your professional foot. So maybe there are things you come across that your friends on Facebook don't really care about because they're in a different field. Well, LinkedIn is the place for you to post those really interesting articles that you get excited about because it's in the field of your interest. So you can post an update, and then you'll see here, you'll see other updates from people you follow and people you're connected with. And what I really like about LinkedIn is here on the right-hand side, you'll see that it is going to suggest people you may know. It's also going to show you people who you've been looking at, and it's going to show you people who've looked at you. Now, a lot of people tell me sometimes, God, that's kind of creepy. But what's brilliant about it is it allows you to make a connection. So, we've all been at those networking events and you look across the room and someone sees you and you see them and you think, oh, how do I introduce myself? And you might not have the courage in that face-to-face environment to walk across the room and introduce yourself. But LinkedIn allows you to do that. So maybe someone came across your profile and you can click on who's viewed your profile and see who that is. So if I clicked on who's viewed your profile, here are 3 people that took a look at my profile. And it would make sense that the first thing I would do would be to click on their name and go ahead and take a look at their profile page. This is where I'm going to read their summary, their experience, and learn about them. And if I think this is someone who I want in my network, either because they're in a similar field or they know people who I want to know, then LinkedIn allows me to message them. So what's really important about understanding LinkedIn is you can't just connect to anyone. That by going in and building up your network through people you know, you will slowly begin to connect with people you don't know through the other LinkedIn features. And so it's a very organic process of starting with people you know that will eventually build into people you don't know. That happens, like I said, by having an all-star profile and by using these various features that LinkedIn offers you to build your network. So once you have looked at who's viewed you, you want to make sure that you are taking a peek at who they are, and if they're people you want to connect to, then you can send them a message. And I'll show you in a minute what kind of message you want to send. You're also going to start to receive invitations yourself. One of the mistakes that I made when I first got LinkedIn was that I rejected a lot of invitations because I didn't know the people. I thought, well, I don't know them. Why would I want to be connected with them? But it's like counterintuitive, right? These are people you do want to know. You engage with people online, the people you know, on other platforms. This is about meeting people and connecting and finding out what people are doing and learning and engaging with other people. So when someone sends you an invitation to respond, you can accept it or ignore it. But what I would recommend is when someone connects with you, you want to take a look at their profile, and you'll see here that LinkedIn tells you how many shared connections you have. So the more shared connections you have with someone, the more likely it is you want to be connected with them. On the sample page you see here, most of these invitations come from one connection, and one of them 2. If you hover over that shared connection, it will show you exactly how you're connected, whether you're connected by an individual or connected by a group that you're participating in. So use all this information, their profile page and your connections, to really determine whether or not you want to accept or ignore their invitation. Sometimes you will get someone you don't want to be connected with, and that's okay. You click ignore. So if you connect with someone that you already know, or you're hoping to know, or you're connecting with somebody who's viewed your profile or that LinkedIn has recommended as someone you may know, you want to send them a message. So when you click on connect or message, you'll get like an email box. And so here are 3 possible messages you could use. So the first one you would use for someone who's viewed your profile. And it's a very short message saying, I see that you viewed my profile and I'd love to connect with others in my field. Let's connect. If someone is a connection that LinkedIn has recommended as someone you may know, then you may want to use this sample that's on the right-hand side, where you were saying, I was just going through my connections and you came up with someone I may know. I've had a quick look at your profile and I'd love to connect with you. Now you'll note here that there's a PS where you give somebody an opportunity to just ignore. And this is a really great way to say, I want to connect with you. If you don't want to connect with me, it's okay. I'm not going to take it personally. And then in the blue box is a sample of a message you could use if you're connecting with someone who you've met through one of the groups. And I'm going to talk about groups in a second. So you see here within your LinkedIn, there is an email feature. And you'll see that I have several messages here of people who I've connected with. And so what is really important, I think, about LinkedIn is not to just passively accept and ignore invitations, is that when you get invitations, you connect with people, you want to take the first step to actively engage by sending them a message. So use this email message to connect with people. As you take a look here, these are connections I've made, and then I sent people a message, and I'll show you what that looks like. So once somebody and I have made a connection, I will send them a message using the email feature. And you'll get a prompt from LinkedIn that says start a conversation. And you'll click on the start a conversation and it will take you to your email feature. And this is just a sample of an email that I put in. And you'll notice here with this email that I'm asking my new connection about themselves. This isn't where I'm going to tell people about me. This is about starting a conversation and asking people a little bit about themselves. And that is also a great tip for face-to-face networking. You always want to start by giving people the opportunity to tell you about themselves. So take a quick glance at this letter. And let's start talking about the third step. The third step is to join groups and participate. So if you look at your LinkedIn navigation bar, we've talked about your profile page and your home page. And if you hover over interests, you'll get a drop-down box, and groups is one of the choices that you have with that drop-down box. And you want to join these groups because they really are different forums that allow you to interact, engage, and get information from people in your field or the field that you're trying to get into. So similar to recommendations where the magic number is 10, you also want to belong to at least 10 groups. And so you want to make sure that here you are searching for groups that really are kind of cover the spectrum of your interests. You don't have to just join one type of groups. I belong to leadership groups. I belong to entrepreneurial groups. I belong to diversity and cross-cultural groups, because all of these cover the span of my interests and networks. And so you can really join a variety of networks. But what's important to know, and why LinkedIn groups are special, is because, first of all, there's at least 8,000 new groups that form each week. And on average, 20 minutes of conversation that happen in those, or 200 conversations that happen every minute. And that people are 4 times more likely to view your profile if you are active in a group. So how do you decide which group to join? There's a few criteria you want to use when evaluating a group. First, you want to join a group that's sizable. So if you're looking for a group and it's only got 5 members, well, you might want to consider a group that maybe has at least 500 or maybe even 5,000 members. So size is important. You also want to make sure that you're joining a group that's active and is having a lot of discussions. So one of the things that I've noticed is that some groups, there's a lot of self-promotion that goes on. So people are posting their own blog, selling their own products, and that's fine. But there are other groups where people are actively actively engaged in conversation, sharing information, and answering questions. And so you want to have a balance. It's great to belong to groups where people are sharing resources, sharing blogs, sharing content. That's great. But you also want to be able to be participating in groups where you're making connections with people through discussions. And once you belong to a group, you want to post in that group. You can't expect everybody else in the group to participate and just show up and kind of, hover in the corner. You want to make sure that you're participating as well. What's interesting about posting is that when you post a question, it really puts you in the position of the learner. When you respond to a question, it really puts you in the position of an expert. So you have to think about, when is the time where I really want to learn, and when is the time where I want people to perceive and understand my expertise. And if you post in a group and someone responds to your posting, it is great etiquette to respond back. Don't let a comment that someone has provided to a question that you've had go unanswered. So here's an example. I put in the search box leadership, and it gave me 26,000 results. Here are the top 4. You'll note here that it gives you the name of the group, a short description of the group, and then it tells you how active it is, how many members it has, and how many people are within my network. And you want to use all of these criteria to evaluate whether or not this is a group you want to belong to. So you'll see here the India Leadership Network is listed as active. The last one, Center for Creative Leadership, of which I'm already a member, is listed as very active, with 614 discussions happened this month and over 3,000 people in my network. So again, you want to be looking at the size, how active they are with discussions, and then you want to make sure that you go in there and post. So the last step of having a killer LinkedIn profile is to seek out mentors. And you'll see here on this page that I'm showing you here that there's all these connections with people you may know, people within your profession, groups you may like, companies you want to follow. Once you start to build up your profile, LinkedIn will begin to give you lots of ways to expand and grow your network. And you want to maximize that. And within that, you want to really create an opportunity for you to learn and grow from others in your field. What I love about this concept of using LinkedIn to find mentors is it allows you to have mentoring experiences anytime, anywhere, and with anyone. It puts you in the driver's seat of your mentoring experiences. For years, lots of people have been assigned mentors in the workplace, or have mentors through extracurricular programs that you participate in. And finding mentors can be difficult. LinkedIn, a professional networking platform like this, allows you really to put yourself in the driver's seat, interact with mentors at your own convenience, and access people you might not otherwise have had the opportunity to access. So I think this might challenge some of you to think about mentoring differently than you have before, because it really is a different world, but one that I find really exciting, because finding mentors and interacting with people through a virtual platform or a social networking platform allows for casual, unstructured mentoring experiences that perhaps are situational, which is brilliant. Maybe you've got a situation today or this week or this month that's really pressing and you don't have an opportunity to meet face-to-face with your regular mentor, or maybe you don't have a mentor now. You can go into one of your LinkedIn groups or on your status and post the challenge you're having, and people will respond, and you will get this great information from people who've already walked the path, or people who have a specialization or expertise in that area. It will also allow for what I call serendipitous or episodic mentoring. So Serendipitous means maybe you didn't intend for that to be a mentoring moment, but it was. So maybe you're just online participating in a group discussion as you always do, and somebody offered you some fantastic wisdom that you know is going to make a difference in your work. That is fantastic. It's just as valuable as getting mentoring you plan to have. And it's episodic, meaning that maybe that's the only time you get advice from that person. And that's okay. You might not develop a formal relationship with them. You may never communicate with them again. But I would strongly recommend that if somebody gave you some great advice, that's somebody you want to continue to network with and follow up. And it also allows you to self-select. Like I said, it puts you in the driver's seat and allows you to control who you're engaging with. Because too often in the workplace, our mentors are assigned to us. And even if the relationships work out, we didn't have a say in it. And so this allows you to have a lot more say in who you are having as a mentor. And it also allows you to really cast a wider net to have access to people you might not otherwise have had access to. And you can access those people in real time and get various solutions. And what's really exciting is you can have more than one mentor. No one said you are limited to one mentor. And so you can have a variety of mentors. And I'll share with you from my own experience that I've connected with people because we shared people in common. They accepted my connection. I sent a follow-up email. They've sent me a response back, and we've continued that conversation offline onto a telephone call or Skype call to email, and I've had ongoing mentoring relationships with people who are mentoring me or people who I am mentoring. So there really are endless possibilities in creating mentoring relationships that make sense to you and fit for your life and your career that you can custom design. And that's what's so brilliant about it. There are no limits. What is even more brilliant about it is sometimes traditional mentoring relationships in the workplace can have power and politic dynamics that really impact your ability to gain as much as you want from that mentoring relationship. Maybe the person who you've been assigned as your mentor is also in a higher position than you, or there's office politics that really inhibit your ability to be forthcoming with your mentor. And developing these mentoring relationships outside of your workplace in a virtual environment really eliminates those power and politics. And I think that's exciting. And like I said, those relationships might become more formal and they might remain informal. Either way, there's a benefit to you either as the mentor or mentee because you're supporting and encouraging ongoing learning and development. And so some of the mentoring that I've experienced online and through LinkedIn has been serendipitous and episodic. And as I said, some of them have converted to more formal or more structured mentoring relationships. And that's ultimately up to you, is how you use this tool to develop those mentoring relationships. So I've said a lot. And it's a lot easier said than done, but I hope today that you see that these 4 key steps will really help you have a killer LinkedIn profile. So to review, step 1, make sure you have an all-star profile that's searchable, professional, and personable. Use those prompts that LinkedIn gives you and poke around and look at the different features and see what they let you do. 2, connect and network. So make sure that you're responsive and proactive. Relationships don't happen just because you clicked connect. You have to make that connection, follow up, email, and start communicating with people, sharing, endorsing. All of those features allow you to start building up your network. And you want to make sure that when you are communicating with people that you don't ask for anything up front. Ask people about themselves. Tell them that you want to know more about them. And once you've established a relationship with somebody and you think they can do something for you, wait till you've established that relationship. Step 3 is join groups. So make sure you're targeting groups that are within your field of interest and that they're active and a good size. And remember, posting puts you in a learner position and responding puts you in an expert position. And step 4, using LinkedIn to find mentors. So make those connections in groups and start fostering those relationships so that you can engage with people and ensure that you have ongoing learning. This all takes practice and time. So be sure to set aside the time and to practice. And the more you use it, the more familiar you will become and the easier it will be to use LinkedIn to network and find mentors. Maybe today's workshop just scratched the surface for you and you want more help. Well, I've got a great new millennial coaching package that I want to tell you about. It includes 3 private coaching sessions with me via Skype, where we'll set some really specific goals and actions you can take to achieve those goals. It includes email support. So in between sessions, you can email me, ask questions, and get answers. And it also includes a totally revamped LinkedIn profile with my personal help. I will work with you side by side to go through all the different features I discussed today and match your professional goals with your LinkedIn profile so that people are knocking on your door and you can have the impact you want and have the career trajectory that you have aspired to. It's a small investment, so I encourage you to go to tamarathorpe.com, click on the Work With Me page, and click Coach. We'll get together and I will make sure that you have a killer LinkedIn profile. Thank you again for joining me today. Bye-bye.